Welcome to another edition of Vibes and Values on True Talk Radio 98.5 FM. This is the platform where we hold grounded conversations about purpose, leadership, and the realities shaping young people today. I am your host, Anne-Marie Ibiobo. Our focus this afternoon is a topic that continues to grow in importance for the next generation of Sierra Leoneans and global citizens: youth leadership and global diplomacy, shaping the next generation of change makers. You can follow the program live on Facebook at True Talk FM and also via YouTube. For today's show, please welcome our guest, Abu Tairuwale, Director of Communications at the Dream Model United Nations. Abu, welcome to Vibes and Values. Please.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good afternoon. I am Abu Tairuwale, Director of Communications for the Dream Model United Nations. I'm very honored and privileged to be here.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
So, to start off, as Director of Communications, how would you personally define youth leadership in today's world?
Well, for me, youth leadership is about giving young people the enabling environment to make their own decisions. It's about empowering them to unleash their full potential and able to sit in a table where they make decisions for themselves. So giving them the free space to be themselves, to think critically and profile possible solutions for their own destiny.
Okay. So, how would you explain global diplomacy to young people who may be unfamiliar with the concept?
Well, it's very important for young people to take part in diplomacy. And even when your silence feels so safe, there's still room for discussion. So, diplomacy is about how we can sit and talk, even when we choose to disagree. It's about how we can negotiate in the best interest for each other. It's about how we can promote the agenda of the world. So for young people who become unfamiliar, it's about believing in your potential, taking part in global discussions, and making your impact as a responsible citizen.
Okay. So, when you talk about silence, I've noticed a lot of young people, they may feel like afraid to speak up because they might fear what other people say or think that what they're saying might be stupid. How would you encourage those to speak up?
Sometimes silence is based on the upbringing, and many times people tend to live with silence because they are not ready to face their fears. And that is why it's very important when young people involve themselves into things that push them beyond their capacity to know who they truly are. So you have to believe in yourself. You have to willing to learn and grow. You have to ready to accept failure as part of the growing process. Where young people were at a transition point, changing our story from one level to another. So it's okay to feel shy sometimes, it's okay to be silent, but you have to add your voice to the growth of society. You have to walk into a room and you write your name boldly so people will remember you. So kill your fears, believe in who you are, develop your growth, because there are times when you feel like you are not up there, you try to push away. So when you have confidence and you develop in your growth, you can be able to speak up. So that is why we create room for young people in Dream Model United Nations.
Okay. So, leading off from that, how would you say the Dream United Nations help young people to discover their leadership potential?
And for us at Dream Model United Nations, for the past 4 years, we bring young people across the sub-region, young students, bright minds. We delegate countries of representation to them. We place them in different committees. These committees are mostly the organs of the United Nations. So first thing we do is help them out to go about research. We force them to be able to research, have time to study about these countries. We bring them in one room that will decide their fate. They debate, they argue. We force them to involve into critical thinking. You have to stretch beyond your mind. You have to be able to bring much information to convince your opponents, because there will be some counter towards your statement if you do not bring facts. So for us, the demo is how we can bring young people in one room, showing them who they truly are in the reflection in the mirror, helping them to able to determine what they want, and improving their public speaking skills, expand their networking, and involve into cultural exchange. So it's just about helping them to be the best version of themselves.
Okay, so a lot of young people here might not have gone abroad before. So to those who have joined Dream Model, how would you help them see from a different country's perspective, even though they might not understand the different struggles, as they've not like fully experienced that country? You know what I mean?
So, and like I said before, we help them to research. So you give them the opportunity. So say, okay, Anne-Marie, you represent United States. Your job is to understand the geographical setting of US, the culture, the GDP, their allies, the political style, and much more. So you put yourself in the shoe as a US citizen. You're able to look out for the best website that will give you all the results about US, what they have been doing, when they became independent, what have been their functions, how they control governance, their impact towards growth, their contributions, how they help other people. So we help you to research, understand about your country. We provide websites that gives you insightful knowledge and ideas about these countries, so that you become fully equipped, that when you go in the room you'll be able to debate and defend your country. So we give you the impression to feel like you are the ambassador and head of mission for US. So if you have the opportunity now to serve as an ambassador of US, how are you going to serve? What role are you going to play? What do you want to be remembered for? What are the best leadership qualities that you shoot up that people will acknowledge you for? So you just have to see yourself in that direction and expand beyond the research and be grounded, so you can take up the charge.
Okay, so once they've done all of this research, I'm sure like they get really like excited and really into the role. So are there any form of arguments that happen, or how would you help them with conflict resolution once they get super into their role? They have a deep understanding of the country that they're representing and they strongly disagree with another person. How would you combat that?
Well, for first timers, we always organize a training session. We always provide materials for them to understand the standing orders and the point of motions that they will be using to debate. We give them the opportunity to sit where leaders sit, speak where leaders speak. And so when we train them, we teach them how to debate. The General Assembly is indeed a form of debate, live demo. You argue, you lay a motion, and other people debate. People choose to agree and disagree. At the end of the day, they arrive at a common grounds of understanding. So we train them how to debate. We prove their public speaking skills. We instill in them the confidence to learn. Dreamo is a learning ground. So we do not want the perfect people. We want people who do not see their potential. We groom them up and we show them the hidden potential they have, and we'll give them the exposure in the platform they need. So we're creating a platform for debate, negotiation, public speaking, research, networking. That's all blend of package that we do for young people.
Okay. So when most people who aren't too well versed in debating hear the word debate, some people just think it's like arguments just going back and forth. How would you advise or teach those people how to structure actual debate instead of just going up and arguing just to argue?
When in a debate, you must have emotion. And when you have emotion, you must have your point of argument. Generally, debate is about giving your views even when people choose to object. So we give them the opportunity to learn, raise your point. Other people objecting your idea doesn't mean it's in a form of argument. It because maybe what you say is far from the truth, or they were not convinced enough. So when you have the opportunity to debate, one, you must have a fact. You must have something that will support your statement. You must be able to make citation where you provide your source from. If you're making a reference point, you must have to be sure of what you are saying. How do you come to conclude about your point? Where do you get your source from? How do you want to convince your opponent to believe you, even when they choose to disagree? So it's about convincing other people to believe in your idea, winning them over, and getting a common ground of understanding and get a win-win situation.
Okay. Do you think there are any misconceptions about the Dream Model United Nations?
Well, for the years we have been in DREAMO, I did not see any misconception. And we're seeing young people who are willing now to lead. Seeing young people who are determined, who are taking responsibilities, and we're so proud of them. Everybody have their own different interests. You choose not to be in diplomacy doesn't mean you have a misconception about it. So we're expanding the scope. We're bringing university students, people in the corporate world, that you can be engineer, you can be a doctor, you're still a diplomat. So we're changing that conception for people to understand that to be a diplomat is not just people who speak English fluently. It's not just people who are lawyers or who study literature. It's about somebody who wants to contribute and leave a mark. Somebody who carry himself with purpose and peace. So we're changing the narrative, we're improving the scope, and we have a vision and target. We're reaching there.
Okay, would you like to share what your vision is?
Well, we want to build a community of African young leaders who will be at the helm of affairs in the next years to come. For the past 4 years that we've been organizing DREAMO, we have more than 1,000 plus alumni.
Wow.
People who have attended our conferences. We cross boundaries. We build partnership with Moon Liberia, Quad Moon in Guinea, and much more other. So we want to see how we can transform young people's lives to become a success. In as much as there is this drug menace disturbing young people in society, we become so worried. How do you want to live your life if you do not create an impact in other people? Or what do you want to be remembered for? What is the essence of your existence if you cannot affect other people's life positively? So out of curiosity, that is how DREAMO was born. We're still developing more visions, we're still putting more mechanisms in place. We're 5th year this year. We'll promise to becoming bigger and better.
Okay. So, next question is, why is global awareness essential for young Sierra Leoneans?
Because it helps to maintain peace and stability. Information is transformation. And when people do not get the right information, they struggle and they look for another option. So when you give them disinformation or misinformation, they live on with that. So global awareness is very important for Sierra Leoneans because we want them to be able to compete in this 21st century. We want them to be able to plan their life well and take up responsibility. We want young people to understand that we are the future and the present, and we should be able to decide what we need to do as young people. What is our role in shaping governance, in making society conducive to live?
Okay. So, when it comes to the research aspect, we're currently living in the age of AI. So how would you help a young person navigate this process of researching, like understanding which parts are misinformation or which parts are the actual real facts?
Well, for me, AI is not bad. The more the world is advancing, the more we have technologies that create easy access to informations. As I stated earlier, we have websites that are accredited websites, un.org, and other approved website that we do share to them where they get the fact. And we give them the opportunity to write position paper. A position paper is the idea that you put based on your country position in the topic. So they send this position paper to the chairperson for different committees. We review these position papers, look out for the fact, the source, where you get your information from. We allow them to send it to email. Many young people are not familiar with email, so we give them the opportunity to send the soft copy to email. The chairperson will verify and revert back to you if there is any error, if there is any mistakes, and we teach you how to do it properly. So Dreamo is a learning process. We train people how to carry out things even when they seem not to be confident, even when they see the job as for professionals. We see it as for people who are willing to take responsibility. So we teach them, we provide enough materials for them, we create more room for information, and we guide them through the process from the preparation to the end of the conference. We'll always be there with them, enable them to learn and grow.
Okay. So, I was also a teacher previously, so I understand that a lot of students aren't really familiar with computer skills. So, alongside like computer skills, what other types of skills have you seen been developed with people that have joined the Dream model?
Well, our focus is how we can help them to improve their public speaking skills. Is how we can empower them to have a self-confidence so they can able to navigate through. When we also help them to aware that we live in a tech world, it is important to have an other skills to your degree to help you to stand out. We create a environment where we help them to make a right career choices. So this conference capture a different team, different topics that help them to get more education on innovation and technology, on governance and global leadership. So we bring topics that resonate with the 21st century, topics that help them to change their mindset, that force them to grow, to make a personal decisions. Because we have professionals who are already coming. We have people who are lawyers. Last year they are 10. We have people who are doctors who are IT specialists. So one of the most important things is how we create room for network. You meet different people, you share dreams, you're able to connect out of Dreamo, and you're able to navigate to and create impact on your own. So that is one thing we're very happy about, how we have been able to help young people to connect with the right minds, because we create a whole session for people to explain themselves. Who are you? What are you doing? Where are you from? What are you looking up to? So you have other people who might say, we're working in a similar line. I'm into fashion, I'm into computer, I'm developing a software, I'm heading this project in this social organization. How can we partnership? In diplomacy, you use two words, partnership and collaboration. The Sustainable Development Goal 16 is talk about partnership for common goals. So we believe in helping people to partner, help them to collaborate, and push through and enjoy the limited opportunities around you.
Okay, so do you have any success stories that you could share with us?
For me, I'm a success to this story. So when I joined Dreamo, first I went as a delegate last year or so. I went in the room so nervous and shy, but I left my name written boldly. I was able to see the other side of me. I was able to believe that I can speak, not perfectly but confidently, and other people can listen. And I was able to expand my social capital. And so Dreamo gave me the opportunity to travel to Guinea, I went for Kwagmo, the Kofi Annan University of Guinea, more the UN. When I went to Guinea, out of 150 delegates across the sub-region, I emerged as the overall best delegate. So that was another stepping stone. I had the opportunity to travel to Liberia on a scholarship.
Wow.
Today I'm here as the Director of Communication for the model.
Oh, congrats,
So
Steve.
thank you very much. I didn't mean taking that venture to go to Dreamo. I could not believe they saw the potential for me to speak for them. I'm here representing Dreamo now, from a delegate to a secretariat person. I think that is a great success.
Yeah, I think so too.
Thank you.
So when you first started out, did you have like any mentors that helped you out, or was it just like a whole team that helped you?
Alright, this dream started in University of Makeni from two curious learners, Omar Sise, who is the executive director and founder, and Chweta Aldil Takrim Wright. They were doing their first degree at the University of Makeni at the Department of Political Science and International Relations. They fell in love with the theory so much more that they were curious to learn more that how we can practicalize this theory. How can we communicate international relations at the simplest form so that everybody can understand? They put ideas together. They say two better heads is better than one. They discuss, they build up a concept note, they write to the administration welcomed the idea. It became part of a curriculum of the university as an extra curriculum. So in 2020 they started the conference that was just for people who are at the University of Makeni studying political science and international relations. It was a very successful one. Another year again they expand, people become more interested even outside of their department. They extend invitation from Guinea and Liberia. Delegates came all the way from there, hosted them at a Zoom hotel, spent 5 days, debate, argue, negotiate, involved into crisis simulation, wrote resolutions and all. So the dream became more bigger. In 2023, they hosted it at the Foreign Service Academy at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It became more wider and bigger as well. They expand their partnership with other African countries. In 2024, we hosted it at the House of Parliament. Today, we are also planning by the 16th to the 21st of December to host the same event at the Foreign Service Academy, bringing all of 5 African countries added to our 6 for a 5 days conference in diplomatic simulations.
Okay. So as you said, you started off as like a shy student. So now that you've reached the position that you're now, have you ever like felt or dealt with imposter syndrome?
Can you go back again so I can get you clear?
Okay. I said you started off as like a shy student that joined Dreamer, but now you've reached to this position as like director of communications. Have you ever dealt with imposter syndrome?
Well, for me, I always challenge myself. I always look at me in the mirror and say I can do better. Determination is part of winning. One thing that I always acknowledge is that no matter what you want to do, there must be challenges, even if you have all the opportunities. So you just need to prepare for the unexpected. There's certain things that are inevitable along the line. So I do not see anything impossible for me as long as I have the opportunity to live. It is my responsibility to able to identify the right people that I to work with. I have a mouth to speak. It is left with me to convince or pitch my ideas with people who believe in the dream. It left with me to still have the courage even when I try, I fail, to still continue to try, because try and fail is not a disgrace. So it's just left with your personal decision. It's just left with the people that you surround yourself with. You just need to look out for your peers. People who align with your vision, who believe in your dreams, who look far more than you, who compete with you in a positive way, who challenge you to be the better version of yourself. If you put yourself in that shoe, there's nothing impossible for you. You cannot downplay yourself.
Okay. So, what were any of the challenges that you faced along your journey?
One is lack of mentorship before now. I did all my high school in Kono, 248 miles.
Wow.
So I'm here in Freetown because of education to go to uni. So when you surround yourself at some point with certain people based on the environment that you grow, you do not have that self-determination. You do not have that much needed mentorship. You do not have the much needed resource or capital to help you to push through. And there are times, even when you reach out to people who you think they should believe in you, they turn you down. You meet people who steal your dreams. You become frustrated. But one thing that have helped me is when I moved, I changed location. It changed my perspective to see life from a different point of view. I had to dust my back and take the front line. I'm still in the process of learning. I'm still in the journey of turning my life into a better version that will create more contributions to the growth of society. I am born as a man, but I want to die as an institution. I want to be remembered for something. So the journey still continues.
Okay. So, have you noticed any differences between how youth-led organizations are faced versus traditional organization?
Well, there must be difference in your agenda, in your activities, in your plans. There's so much difference in youth-led organizations and those traditionals. But it's nice when the space is open for people to compete. It's fair enough when everybody have the space to strive, to make their own contributions. And all of what we are doing now, establishing these youth-led organizations, is just to contribute to societal growth. It's just to impact other people's life. How can we live as a responsible citizens? We do not need to be a politician before we make a difference. We just need to be a forward-thinking youth with a bright mind who believe that the responsibility of this nation lies on our shoulder, and we change the narrative. Africa has one of the youngest population, which is the youth. In every countries that you go to Africa, they will tell you 60% of the population are young people. So that tells you the young people are the angel that will help to drive change. So if they are not informed, if they are not belong, if they are not support to the much needed level, then you do not find that country developing. That is why when you see this government investing in human capital development, they believe in the human brain. They believe when you get the much needed education, the difference that you can make and the contributions that you can create to national and international growth.
Okay. So, when you're faced with like different setbacks, as you said, like rejection, all that kind of stuff, what would you say to someone? How would you tell them to navigate that? What would you tell them to do so they can overcome that?
I would tell them to believe in themselves. I would tell them to accept whatever challenges that come their way, but they do not settle for that. I would tell them not to limit their potential because they do not have the much needed support. You have to believe in new beginnings. You have to continue to try until you change your situations, until you change your story. So regardless of the limited potential or opportunities surrounding you, as long as you are alive, every day is a day for you to make a mark. It's a day for you to make a difference. Don't give up, don't give in, push until you reach the climax of what you want to do. But set your target straight, be disciplined and be focus minded, and most importantly, put God at the center of everything that you do. God has been the greatest helper in all of my life. I'm very grateful for that.
Okay. So after this next question, we're going to take a short break. So which global issues do the dream model delegates gravitate towards the most?
Well, for the last years, we've been we've discussing rethinking African position in a global stage for a 2 permanent seat and a veto power. You know, for far too long, African continent has been underrepresented. It will interest you to know that we do not have a permanent seat at the UN Security Council, the biggest body that made decisions in terms of international peace and security, which most of the issues discussed there is African based, but they still do not find us wanting or qualified to represent, to be permanent representative. And I feel like that is more unfair. It is a disrespect to African continent, and we have been maltreated wrongfully. So last year we discussed that topic. Even when we went to Guinea, we discussed the same topic. Now we want to take the center stage. Africa is made up of 54 states. We have over 1.4 billion population. We're possibly the second biggest continent in the world, still underrepresented. How can we change the narrative? How can we tell the United Nations that they do not preach equality? If you have every other continent being represented at the UN Security Council and Africa is not part of it, they only give us a non-permanent seat and it's rotational. What is the essence of our membership? Why are we part of the UN, but we are not part of the UN Security Council? So we've discussed a lot more of other important issues about youth capacity, sustainable development, and much more. But the most important topic is about rethinking African positions. Africa needs to take a center stage. Africa needs to lead. We're prepared, we're determined. We have the capacity, we have the manpower, we have the resource, we have the machinery, but yet still we are underrepresented. The 1 million question is not yet to be answered. Why we do not have a permanent seat at the UN Security Council? Why it has taken too long? You listen to this current hunger, the president of Ghana, John Mahama, stress on the same issue. The president of Kenya, William Ruto, stress on the same issue. Many other young people, yet still nothing has been done towards that. So I see them going to hunger as just a means for photo opportunity, because there are better decisions that we can take as African leaders, that the world will listen to us and give us a permanent seat that we truly deserve, that have been deprived of for far too long.
Okay. So we're definitely going to dive in deeper to that after this short break. So okay, so welcome back to Vibes and Values. I'm here with Abu Tarawali, and we are discussing youth leadership and global diplomacy, shaping the next generation of change makers. So just now we're talking about how Africa doesn't have a permanent seat on the UN. So Abu, I want you to explain to people how you think it would look if we did have a permanent seat.
It has been looked very unfair from a different lens and different point of view. I think we deserve a permanent seat. We have been pushing for a 2 permanent seat and 2 non-permanent seats and a veto power. A power to vote, a power to make decision. But yet still, our call has not been answered. Our interest has remained unaddressed. For more than 60 years now, we're still counting. Africa has been still pushing for a permanent seat. So I think our leaders need to reorganize themselves. I think we need to make a tough decision, and we should be able to add value to our continent. Our leaders must not be too desperate to be seen. We have to be respected for. We flee in different countries, we go to US, we sit in a General Assembly, we discuss issues about Africa, but we are not part of the decision-making body. So we provide the solutions and ideas. Other people decide. They unpicked whatever they want to. They finalize on the decision, say, oh, this is important. And in many years now, Africa has become the hub for UN peacekeeping. We have been able to create that atmosphere that people feel safe and confident. Our leaders in many African countries has been champion in global peace and security around the Middle East and many other countries. We have proved and live within the test of time as a continent in unity, regardless of many other numerous challenges. We have countries who have a strong military, who have rich resources that can able to take the seats. But yet still we have not been considered. I don't know when. Even when Kofi Annan was there, a Ghanaian, former secretary for the UN, nothing was addressed. Antonio Guterres is still there. I don't see no solution. So we need to ask, why is African still underrepresented? And our leaders need to come back home and strategize and take a better tough plan. Maybe that will help. Or maybe we need to redo our membership. Our membership will not worth it. While we pay dues, we open our space, our countries for UN activities, and yet still we are not part of the UN Security Council. We are not part of the UN just for photo opportunity. We are not part of the UN because we think we cannot able to take care of our citizens. It's because we want to contribute to global change. It's because we want to sit and discuss about possible solutions that are affecting the world. We want to talk about climate. We want to talk about governance, innovation, and technology. But we are not given the opportunity. It's very unfair. It's a great underrepresentation. So it's very difficult. We're still pushing as young people. It's very important that we are taking these topics and discussing them as youths. We're fully aware about the underrepresentation and how Africa has been treated badly, unfairly. And we'll still continue to raise awareness through diplomacy and better dialogue that will help us to navigate to reach the climax that we want.
Okay. So for those who may not know about what exactly the UN does, could you just briefly explain why it is important that Africa has a seat and why they should care about Africa getting a permanent seat?
In fact, the formation of UN is because the League of Nations could not able to maintain international peace and stability after when the Second World War arose. It was a very tough moment for the world. So immediately after the Second World War, in 1939, young leaders, great minds in the United States, they come together, they decided to form the United Nations. As the name implies, United Nations, nations who come together to be united, to push peace, to promote international security, to fight against climate change and achieve these 17 sustainable development goals, which I know you are aware of. And why it's very important for Africa to be part of it. We have 1.4 billion populations. Other people make decisions for us at the UN Security Council. We have 54 member states. We are not part of the UN that make tough decisions. You see to the southeast, you see the issue between Russia and Ukraine, the Palestine and Israel. Yet still nobody could be able to help them salvage situations. I think we have a fresh perspective as Africans. We have the idea and we'll be able to contribute greatly to help these countries to maintain peace, to understand why the UN was established, and to be able to uphold the values and morals of UN in pushing the UN framework. 80 years in the existence of UN, yet still we have not been able to maintain or achieve the common goals to maintain international peace and security. You see in Nigeria the kind of terrorism, Christians and much more other have been attacked, been killed, the Boko Haram, much more other countries are under threat. I start to imagine and ask myself, what is the essence of UN? What is the essence of UN? What is the major impact UN is creating? Because there are still many warring countries. There's still climate change. There's still hunger. There's still bad governance. You see people steal elections. Nothing has been done. People are still carrying out with bad examples. So if UN cannot able to create change, if they cannot bring these leaders together, put them in the right direction, force them to understand the importance of democracy, valuing and respecting the rule of law, maintaining international peace and cooperation and security, then I just see UN as a toothless bulldog, as an organization established for photo opportunity, so politicians can have a per diem, so they can so they can travel to go and have a photo in the US and deceive their people. You see, most politicians go to UN hunger, they don't bring nothing, just speeches with no better action points. It's not easy. But we hope that this 8th decade in existence of UN will be a new turnaround. It will be a new shape for UN to fully unleash their potential, for UN to able to take responsibility in addressing global issues and treat Africa fairly, respectfully. Africa does not want to sit on the table. Africa wants to be the table. And we're prepared to take up that leadership.
Okay. So since at the moment we cannot currently rely on the UN, what do you want the dream model UN, what do you want their impacts to be in Sierra Leone?
Well, interestingly, dream model is a prototype of the United Nations.
No, of course. About. I'm just saying, like.
So, well, we want to see how young people will allow themselves to learn and grow, to able to bring fresh ideas together, to evolve into innovation, take part into climate issues, in governance. But we're so happy that young people are determined these days. We see young people in most of this, in agriculture, young people are doing feed salon projects, young people are involving into tech work, young people are creating ideas, they're putting better things together. So for us as Dream Model United Nations, we want to train African young leaders to be change makers. We want them to be partners in development. We want them to be the next generation of political leaders who will take their countries into a better position. We want them to be the best diplomats who speak with honesty and dignity. We want them to be corrupt free. We want them to have respect and dignity for human life. So we are training young people how to be responsible in life, how to treat other people with humanity, how to be careful one another, how to take part in decision making and contribute, and also push through to be themselves in the best possible way.
Okay. So, how can education systems better prepare youth for leadership in international affairs?
Interesting. How can education work?
Education systems better prepare youth for leadership in international affairs.
One is to invest into the education and make it become more quality. When you give quality education, people were able to unleash their potential. We're seated here, we speak confidently because of education. So if we want young people to be global leaders, to be change makers, we have to make the educational space conducive for them. We have to compete with the technology, improving educational standards, improving life of teachers, and helping young people to read. We have many young people who do not fall in love with reading, improving the library standard, and creating opportunity for young people. So education is a catalyst for global development. We cannot consider to push the world into a better direction if we do not have educated people. You do not need to have a PhD, but you have to be educated. You have to be intelligent. So you only acknowledge or are aware of your intelligence. It's when you allow education to pass through you. There are different many forms of education, but we believe education has always and will always be a bedrock in helping young people to push through, to able to understand their position in life, to help them to contribute towards societal growth, to help them to be problem solvers. Education help young people to be job creators and not job seekers. So education lay the platform for young people to move, to live, to lead with purpose.
Okay. So, again, we live in the social media age. With the recent rise of social media, what role does technology and social media play in empowering young leaders to engage globally?
Well, there are a whole lot in social media. It depends on what you choose. I feel like social media has helped young people very greatly because there's so much information in this social space, and we need just civic education in how we control media space and where we get our information from, which kind of information we put out to the public. And we have to understand, for every information that we put out, we need to understand what are the damages they cause, what are the consequences, and much more, or the impact they create. So social media has been a great tool for young people in a technology age that we are living. You can sit at your home and you get all the information. You do not need a TV for you to watch CNN. You do not need a computer for you to do your research. You can use your smartphone and got all your details, help you to build notes, bullet points, to write books, to read documentary. So I feel like it is a great opportunity for young people. That is why this our generation is the best generation that I've ever lived. The Gen Z's generation. We're exposed to all the best opportunities and possibilities, the right informations, the right materials, the right people. It depends on how we make use of these opportunities. That will determine who we are. But we're very lucky
Yeah, we are. Okay. So as we look to the future, what skills will be most critical for the next generation of change makers in diplomacy?
Um, Innovation. We have to be innovative. I think that is very much important for young people. We have to blend diplomacy and innovation together. We have to use innovation to solve climate change issues. We have to use innovation to help to curb election rigging. We have to use innovation to improve on learning standard. So I feel like the most important skills in the next years is innovation and technology. And we have to shift our mind in that agenda, whether it be robotics, artificial intelligence, or much more. But we have to embrace innovation. It is a new phase of life now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how can youth leadership contribute to solving global challenges like climate change, migration, or conflict resolution?
How can youth?
Let me say it again. How can youth leadership contribute to solving global challenges like climate change, migration, or conflict resolution?
And in recent years now, African young people are participating greatly in leadership. And when we're able to adapt, young people are very adaptable. We have a fresh perspective and we are goal driven. We're very determined. So when you give young people the opportunity, they're able to play a key role. You see, many young people are traveling by sea, the Mediterranean Sea, because they feel like they do not have the much needed opportunity in their country. Everybody wants to go to Europe, they want to go to US. So when you build young people, when you improve in their life, improving their much needed facilities, instead of them going, they will stay and make a difference. They want to contribute. You see, many young people these days travel to abroad to go do their masters and come back. They are lecturers who do their masters in abroad. We see many young people who have a new idea now that the only reason they want to go to Europe is because they do not have the much needed education they need to contribute. They do not have the much facility. How can we end migration? Is when we improve the life of our own very citizens. Is when we create the enabling environment, improve private sector. Young people have job. They have the corporate world become more competitive, and they're able to strive in. So until we're able to improve the life of young people, until we're able to give them the enabling environment and the much needed support, it's very difficult for us to be able to achieve much more other things. But I feel like it's a gradual process. Young people have a key role in playing in terms of climate change, in terms of migration, in terms of much more other global crises. And young people are becoming more interested in the sustainable development goals. Young people are taking charge. So they just need to be equipped more. They just need to give them more access to be at the table to make decisions. And I believed when young people lead, community rise. And when community rise, they create impact for national development. You feel the impact of many young people these days when they take positions. They help other young people to be like them. They provide solutions to problems. One, they have much more time by their age. They have time to exercise. They have time to multitasking. So that is very important when you equip young people to multitask. You can go to your office, you live there, you can go to gym, you go to another conference. You have the energy, you have the pace, you have the time now. So that is why if any country or African continent want to make a progress, want to grow, we want to compete, is to empower the young minds that made up 60% of the populations.
Okay. So I just have one more question here for you. If you could design one policy to empower youth in global diplomacy, what would it be?
One policy. I feel I will develop a policy that will fully give young people the power to be in charge of themselves. Give young people the power to make their own best decision. It give young people the power to be decision makers, not just to listen to people who make decisions in their absence. We'll make a policy that will continue to capacitate young people to have a full potential. So it's just about how young people can fully lead. And making a policy that gives young people the right to be whoever they want to become without any discrimination or any form of sentiment. I feel like that is what I would do.
Okay, so just before we finish here, I'm going to go to our Facebook comments. So one person said, most schools need to incorporate IT skills in their syllabus. So do you think that would be a benefit?
It is very, very important for everybody to be a computer literate. We're living in a tech world now. We should be able to chat through email. We should be able to send reports through email. You should be able to use Microsoft Word to do your assignment, to extract notes from internet and compile it well. You should be able to use computer to work on your project proposal and much more other. So I feel like that is what the government should prioritize. Improving, adding IT to their schools who are doing IT. But when you go to these schools, they do not have the machineries. They do not have the much experienced teachers. So we should not just add IT to university or high school curriculum. We should also provide the much needed IT facility for them. One thing that we lack the practical environment. When you go to university, all they force you to learn is theories. Whether you're an engineer, whether you're a doctor or much, you just learn theories. Broad paper, read and pass. When you go to the Western world, they believe in practicality. You can be in class for 2 days, the next 3 days you'll be in the field.
Yeah.
You have a first-hand experience. You see the reality of what you have been taught in classrooms. So that is what is lacking. We teach people, when they go out of the classrooms, they do not see what they teach them. You come to the corporate world, it's so different. You have to adapt. You go to certain institutions, they question your degree. They're doubting your ability. So we have to improve on the service delivery. We have to improve on the standard in delivery in education. We have to provide the much needed materials, the machinery, the technical support to push our education forward. So IT is very important, and it will always continue to be in the tech world for young people to compete and lead.
Okay, so another person said, most leaders just go and take snapshots in return with no benefits for us. It's really a shame to some of our African leaders. So how would you suggest that we navigate around our leaders that don't seem to be working for us?
I told you earlier that most times they go for photo opportunity, and that is the naked truth. And let me come to African Union. For over many years, we have been traveling to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, to discuss about Africa. But I keep wondering, for every time these 54 Africa head of states go to Addis Ababa, what they discuss? What are the impacts? We have not been able to see them achieving any common sustainable. So, in fact, we feel foreign in our own continent. We have to ask for visa to go to most African countries. We have to use different passports. There are other countries that have much more expensive plane tickets. There are difficulties in terms of economic integration. So our leaders need to take these positions to serve, not just to add to their CV. I was once a president for this country. Our leaders need to be determined to make an impact. You have to be remembered for something. Most people don't know what they want to lead for. They just want to go to the political space to enrich themselves. But why do you want to lead? Why do you want to be a president? What is different? What is different in you? Which difference can you make from other people? Which legacy can you build that you be remembered for? Which sustainable development that you bring that your citizens will be proud of? All they care about is to be in SUVs, is to travel to different countries, is to improve their life of their family and their immediate friends, and they leave. Another person come, they follow the bad precedent. And one thing that is lacking in Africa setting in leadership is we do not have continuity. You have to start new fresh because you want to embezzle. You want to start your own project so you know where the source is coming from, what you need to keep aside, what you need to tell the people. So Africa, funnily enough, most times we travel to China, we sit before just one man. 54 of African leaders, they go to China, they sit before one man. That one man cannot come to Africa and meet with 54 leaders. They go there to China because they want to snap with the presidents, because they want to snap behind a very beautiful gallery and post them. So African leaders are more determined for photo opportunity than sustainable development, than physical impact. And that is worrisome for our future. Where are we going to? Where are we heading to? What are we looking forward to? Which Africa we want to see? The Africa Agenda 2063. How can we achieve that? They are just willing to hold on to power. You see, many African leaders have been serving for 40 years, 30 years, 25 years. They still want to serve. Why they want to serve? Because they want to keep themselves enriched, because they want to continue to give their family fancy life, not because they understand their citizens are constrained. They want to make difference. People who have served for all these years cannot point a major development that are benefiting their citizens. So it's very important for African leaders to go back to the drawing board, able to decide about the Africa that we want to see, able to implement effectively the Africa in the next 2020 Agenda 2063, and how can we achieve these agendas. We're good at building policies, but we're poor at implementing these policies, and it's very tough. So I hope African leaders can go back to the drawing board. They have a sense of purpose to lead and make an impact, not just to add to their CV or enrich their family life.
Okay. So could you please just give your final message to the viewers and then explain when your upcoming event is?
Well, my final message is let's continue to empower young people. When you empower young people, community rises and they become stronger, they create impact. That is what we do in Dream of the United Nations. We build a next generation of Africa change makers, and we help them to mold to be the best of themselves. We want young people to take their destiny in their own hands. We want them to stop blaming politicians for whatever wrongdoings. We have accepted politicians for who they are now. It's left with us now to make a decision.
Yeah.
So Dream of the United Nations is coming up with the 5th session of our conference and diplomatic simulations from the 16th to the 21st of December at the Foreign Service Academy. At the end of the month, we will close a portal for payment, and national delegates are paying 1,500 and international delegates are paying $150. We provide accommodation for international delegates. We provide 3 meals a day, internal transportation, diplomatic dinner, diplomatic outing, branded t-shirts, ambassadorial visits, and much more. So Dream Model is not a money-making organization. We give you much more than what you pay for. Imagine for national delegates who pay 1.5 what it costs to bring 150 delegates together to organize a dinner. To go for social outing, you have to rent a bus. To provide for them t-shirt, tag, band, cap, and some gifts. You provide them breakfast in the morning before the conference. You provide them lunch in the afternoon, snacks, and much more other. We just want to contribute, just like any other conference around the world. Even best diplomats, you pay money. So paying money help you to be more determined to take the conference very serious. And it's just because we have limited support. We've been organizing this conference for far too long. Most times we put money together as young people so that we can contribute and impact life. We're open up to support. We've been having young corporate institutions who have been supporting us, and this year also we have reached out to them, and most importantly we are bringing seasoned and experienced diplomats who have contributed greatly to national and international level. So I encourage young people to go to www.dreammodel.org to register, and those who have registered to make their payments, because we'll be organizing the first training for the first timers to help them to get the right information for them to be equipped and prepared ahead of our conference from the 17th, because the 16th is the arrival of international delegates from 5 African countries. The 17th is the open plenary and the General Assembly. The 18th is the committee session. We'll put them in different committees. They discuss on a global policy topic, they prefer solutions, and they write resolutions. Then the 19th will be the closing of the General Assembly and the diplomatic dinner. The 20th will be the social outing, and the 21st will be departure for international delegates and much more other things. So looking forward for many young people to be there and be part of this life-changing experience, be among those young leaders who will be remembered for the remarkable impacts they made. Join the Model United Nations today, the only Model UN in Sierra Leone that is molding young people to become catalysts for change and developers in building a better society. Thank you very much for having me. It has been my honor to speak to you. It's a very, very great moment. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. And that brings us to the end of today's edition of Vibes and Values. We explored the changing landscape of youth leadership and why global diplomacy is becoming essential for the next generation of Sierra Leoneans. A special thank you to Abu, Director of Communications at Dream Model United Nations, for sharing deep insights into how the Dream Model is preparing young people to take their place on the global stage. And another thank you to our executive producer Lucy, our producer Frida, and studio engineer Sammy. I am your host Anne-Marie Ebiobo. Join us again for another meaningful and inspiring conversation here on Vibes and Value. Until then, bye-bye.